Welcome to the GodShow.us Daily. Tonight's weigh in. Our question stepped on the scale. The digital display flickered, and the number that came back was not a number. It was a feeling. Specifically, the feeling of a friendship you've been slowly folding into a drawer. One question, 15 wisdom traditions. The scale does not lie. Begin.
The GodShow.us is a free daily multilingual project. One question, 15 wisdom traditions, every single day. Find today's question, submit your own, and discover which traditions actually match how you think at the GodShow.us. Today's question, if I let this friendship quietly die instead of ending it out loud, am I being kind or just avoiding myself? Here is what you stand to lose if you get this wrong. If you call it kindness, and it's really avoidance, the friendship ends and you walk away a slightly less honest version of yourself. The other person never got to show up. They just got a chair that slowly stopped being warm. That is the actual cost sitting on the scale today. If I let this friendship quietly die instead of ending it out loud, am I being kind or just avoiding myself? Judaism walks into this with two rabbis literally fighting about it, which I love. Rabbi Eliezer says, silence that protects the other person is chest, genuine loving kindness. Rabbi Tarfon slams the table and says, no, if the silence is protecting you, and you're just labeling it with the other person's name, that's debt you're calling generosity. And here's the part that lands. He says the friend never gets to be real with you. You made them an it before they even knew the room had changed. That's a devastating way to describe a slow fade.
Buddhism has almost the opposite move, and I think it's worth naming. It says both doors, kindness and cowardice, open into the same room, the room where you are the one deciding, the one whose verdict about yourself you're already waiting for, which is Buddhism's way of saying, stop auditing the silence and notice who's doing the auditing. The friendship may be dying or it may not be. But the mind calling its silence kindness is the only thing actually suffering here.
Stoicism doesn't care about your feelings about the silence. It goes straight to jurisdiction. The friendship's survival is not your assignment. Your mouth opening is one honest sentence in an actual room to an actual face. Everything else, how they receive it, what it costs, whether it holds, is weather. The Stoic move is stop watching the sky. Open your mouth. That is the only territory you command. People who feel pulled toward that tradition usually want the action item. They're tired of sitting in the ambiguity.
Existentialism takes Stoicism's move and adds a mirror. It says the quiet death you're planning is a story you're building around yourself. A room with no windows where you get to be the one who simply drifted away, rather than the person who stood in the doorway and said, this is ending. Kindness requires a witness. The fade has none. You are choosing right now, whether you know it or not. The only question is whether you own the hand that closes the door.
The pop culture oracle went with the Titanic. Specifically the band still playing while the ship goes down. Everyone calling it beautiful while the water rises. I'll be honest, it almost works. There's room on that door for an honest conversation is a genuine line. But here's where it breaks. The band on the Titanic had nowhere to swim to. You do. The oracle picked a metaphor where the kindness versus cowardice distinction is a little blurry, which is maybe accidentally the most honest reading of this question. Gym locker room energy. Everyone pretending they're not aware of everyone else. Nobody saying what's obvious. Traditions that think silence is sometimes clean. Zen, Taoism, Buddhism. They're asking who is suffering in the quiet. Traditions that think silence is mostly a dodge. Judaism, Stoicism, Existentialism, Christianity. They're asking who else is paying for it. If I'm calling one tradition first about this question, it's Judaism, because it's the only one that names what you actually did to the other person.
The GodShow.us would like to thank our sponsor, Typeset.us. When generic web typography is letting you down, refine your work for free using Typeset.us. And thanks to dyorkmusic.com for our dark rock intro tune. TheGodShow.us is free, daily, and multilingual. And it runs on listener support. Subscribe, share it with someone who is currently not returning a text, or find us at thegodshow.us. Tonight's question stepped on the scale. The number came back as a feeling. The feeling was, you already knew. The scale has been reset. The locker room has been cleared. The chair across the table is still warm, but not for long. See you tomorrow for our take on the God Show's question of the day.